Oh, we're at the park here. Beautiful day. It's a gorgeous day here. Look at this place. Gorgeous. I think it's called Mude Park, I think. It's just gorgeous. I love it. I just love it. It's small, but I love this park. I love it. Well, I don't love this part here so much. Actually, it's funny because there used to be a whole bunch of trees there, and now they cut them all down, and now it's just a bunch of stumps over there. It was all green right there. Now, if you didn't know that, like if you didn't know that that's how it was, you probably would say, oh, what a nice view. It wouldn't bother you at all, this view, right? But see, for me, since I know what it was like before, it bothers me, right? I get like, oh no. Right? It's what was and what is. I'm making the comparison, right? Comparing. We're always comparing. We're always measuring things from what we know from our past with what is, what we're currently experiencing. We're always doing that. We're always doing that. I think it's just an automatic thing. Just an automatic thing. I'm not sure if that's a healthy thing. I don't think it is. I think we should stop doing that. I should stop doing that. We should all stop comparing and just appreciate it for what it is. So appreciate it as it is now. Right now, it's a nice view. There's green here. There's trees. There's a little apartment building there. It's lovely, right? There's a couple little stone things you can sit on there. You can hear the cicada, the semi, called semi in Japanese. And there's some very, very thin a bamboo thicket right there. But yeah, it used to be a whole bunch of trees here, and I'm walking barefoot, by the way, so I gotta be careful. I'm grounding, right? I'm doing the grounding. Standing on Mother Earth, getting the magnetic field to come through me. Look how my feet are so white compared to my legs. Getting the magnetic field to come through my body, through my soul, through my spirit, through my very essence, my very being. Because we're always insulated from the earth with our shoes, our sneakers, our cars, you know, everything that has some kind of an insulating property to it, whether it's rubber or metal, something that shields us from Mother Earth, from the wonderful magnetic field that is in our Earth, that needs to come out and come through us. I don't know if it needs to, but it should. It needs it. I got to be careful here because I'm talking about grounding, and I'm going to end up cutting my foot. Some broken glass. But yeah, see how there's a whole bunch of stumps here. These used to be trees. I remember them as trees. And I have no idea why they cut them. No idea what's them. I've asked people who have seen in the park, and they usually look like, huh? What? Like they didn't even notice. I always notice stuff like this. I tell you, I can walk down a street. Yes, you see those stones over there? There's like polished stones, and they're like steps. You walk up and down them like sort of an exercise thing. See, for me, in my memory, that was inside a dark group of trees. It was always shady. It was always dark over there, that thing. Now it's like in the sun, kind of hot grass here. Hot grass in the city. And nice little flower here just growing by itself. Just not bothering anybody. Just sitting there going, hey, what about me? What about my needs? Let's take a walk here on the wild side, on the stones. Okay, here we go. Oh, I just got my hair combed by nature. He's just combed through my hair. I was bent over, but I wasn't bent over enough, and I just got my hair combed back by those. Nature's comb. Oh, nature's comb. Yeah, okay, just be careful. I have to be careful, because I slipped one time. Kind of recently, well, not recently, but February. That's kind of recently, I guess. I slipped and banged this knee all the hell. Really, I'm really lucky I didn't break it. I'm really lucky I didn't break it. I don't even want to talk about it, actually. But here, see, look at these stones here. There could be snakes in here. I better be careful about that too. And you just kind of walk up and down. Walk along them, you know. This is really good for my knees, actually. This is great. So I'm sort of still rehabbing in a way. Knock on wood. Yeah, so these stones were they were completely surrounded by trees before. You were like in this nice little shady spot. Now you're like baking in the sun out here. It's quite hot. Hot, hot, hot. Remember Buster Poindexter? Hot, hot, hot. It was actually Dave Johansen, right? From the Animals. He refashioned himself. He rebranded himself as Buster Poindexter. And had a hit. Had a hit with that song. Hot, hot, hot. Okay, I'm not gonna be careful here. I'm not gonna comb my hair again. It felt pretty good, but it was a little painful. So let's try to avoid the pain if we can. Yeah, so there we are. This formerly wooded spot is now wide open to sun. And like I said, it's a little bit sad for me because I remember it. But see, it's only because I remember it. It's not, there's no reason why you would say this is a sad view. It's not. It's a very nice view, right? I think everyone would agree. There's nothing wrong with this view at all. It's perfectly fine. See, because I'm comparing. So I think it's really important. What did David Lynch say? You can't talk about David Lynch without doing a David Lynch impression, first of all. So you got to do that. He said something like, you have your donut, and there's a hole in the donut. Focus on the donut, not the hole. Right? That's what he said. Something very close to that. Focus on the donut, not the hole. That was his, and when he said hole, obviously H-O-L-E, not W-H. Don't look at the negative, look at the positive. Always see the positive. The hole's always in a donut, right? The donut always has a hole. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a donut. It'd be a scone or a muffin or something. But a donut has a hole. It's part of the donut. It's part of being a donut. Right? I am the cheese. I am the donut. Wasn't that kid? Wasn't he in E.T.? Isn't it the kid from E.T.? Not Elliot. Not Elliot, but the older brother. Wasn't he in a movie called I Am the Cheese? I'm not sure why I remembered that just now, but yeah, I am the donut. Ich bin ein Berliner. Actually, that's what he's actually saying. I am the kind of a donut. JFK says when Ich bin ein Berliner. You know, when he says that. Actually, that sounded like Hitler. Ich bin ein Berliner. You know, the famous speech that JFK made in Berlin. I am a Berliner. Marking a unity between the United States and Germany, a much needed connection there after the war and all that. And he made that speech, right? And I remember Hagen, this guy Hagen, who he actually rebuilt a lot of things on our old house in Frenchtown, and he was a NASA guy. He was one of the NASA Germans. Hilarious guy, nuts. And he had this beautiful 65 Mustang convertible, red with a white top. Totaled it. I've got a jet up there. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it's a T4, Kawasaki T4 trainer jet. We lost one of those recently. One of the, I think one of the JSDF members might have been lost at sea. I think it went down in the water. Anyway, focus on the donut. Ich bin ein Berliner, right? I'm a Berliner. But see, at the time, and I think, okay, here's a way to describe this. As this is how Hagen told it to me. Told to us. I was a kid. Like Frankfurter, right? We think of Frankfurter as a hot dog, Frankfurter, right? But Frankfurter obviously is from Frankfurt, right? It's called a Frankfurter because that's where it was popularized, Frankfurter. But you might also say somebody from Frankfurt is a Frankfurter, right? Maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe you would say that. But you wouldn't, because you know Frankfurter is such a common phrase for a hot dog that you would never say that without laughing. Berliner is the same thing, not for Americans, but for Germans. Berliner is the same thing. It has that same connection. So when you say Berliner, you don't think of a person from Berlin. You think of, I think it's a donut. It's a kind of donut. Ich bin ein Berliner. I am a donut. Ask not what your toppings can do for you. but what you can do for your donut toppings, you know, this kind of thing. Yeah, so, but JFK was right. He didn't know how right he was. Here I am talking about telling JFK what he knew, what he meant. He didn't know how right he was. He meant it in both ways. He meant it as in, I am a Berliner, I am from Berlin, I am one of you, but he also meant I am a donut, right? I'm not the whole, I'm the donut. See? There you go. That was pretty good, wasn't it, how I did that? What do they say now? I see what you did there. I see what you did there. We're going to walk on the stones here. They're a bit hot, but we're going to do it, and I'm going to try not to fall. Actually, we're not even going to say that, because see, by introducing the negative like that, fall, the word fall, try not to fall, you know, your subconscious doesn't hear that I'm going to try not to. It hears fall, and it's going to do that. So we're going to erase that, retract, rewind, be kind, rewind, and we're going to say, we are going to stay balanced. We are going to remain upright, balanced, and sure of ourselves. Sure-footed, surely footed. I guess there's a difference, right? You're sure-footed, sort of like an Indian, we would say Indian, right? Native American. He's sure-footed. Or surely-footed. Surely-footed would mean you definitely have feet. He's surely-footed. So I'm going to be both. Sure-footed and surely-footed. And we're going to try not... No, I'm not going to say the negative. We're going to stay clear of... Oh, I'm going down the negative again. I wanted to mention that there was some bird droppings there, and we wanted to stay clear. But see, I couldn't explain it without mentioning bird droppings or the negative thing. So I have to rephrase my thoughts, my internal dialogue, and rather than saying, I'm going to try to stay clear of these bird droppings, I should say, I'm going to walk on the clean path. I'm going to walk on the clean path. I'm going to walk on the clean rocks. I'm going to hit my head on this. No, I'm going to watch where I'm going. Don't get lost in the viewfinder. That's what my old film professor used to say. Bill Hansard, rest in peace. Poor guy. He got AIDS and passed away. Not young. He was in his 60s. You know, he was up there, but still, he had a lot of life left in him. But he went quick with AIDS. Caught AIDS in Africa. He went to film a thing in Africa and caught AIDS there. Terrible. Bill Hansard. Yeah, he used to say, "Don't get lost in the viewfinder." And this was back in the 80s. This was way before smartphones or anything like that. So when we carried a camera around, it was big. Unless it was a Super 8. My first Super 8s, I used 8mm before college, but when I was a kid with my friend Paul Polifko out in the Jockey Hollow area and stuff, we used to play around with 8mm. I never saw the footage from it though. I don't think we ever got it developed. But Super 8, my first Super 8s were there at college with Bill's class. We used Elmo cameras. Never heard of Elmo. Sesame Street. Sunny day. Yeah, Elmo cameras. They were nice cameras though. I liked the Elmo. Japanese, of course. They were nice. They were so quiet and smooth. They weren't sound cameras. They were silent cameras, but they didn't record sound film. But they were so smooth and nice. I love them. But they were heavy. They were heavy. But anyway, yeah, don't get lost in the viewfinder. Watch where you're going. And stay on the clear stone, the clear path. So as I walk here, whoa, almost, okay, we're still here. I don't want to put my feet on the dirt. I don't want to get dirty feet, so that's really why I'm doing this. But also because I want to feel the stones. I want to feel them. I was on the grass before. I was on the Mother Earth, but I'm still on Mother Earth, but I'm on stones now. Now the stones may not have the magnetic field because they may have iron in them. And if they have iron in them, then that will act like a Faraday cage a little bit, and it may block the magnetic field. But it may not, and it just depends, you know, how much iron's in there. But there's probably not much iron in these. I don't think we're talking, you know, granite. You don't want to walk on granite because granite has a lot of iron in it. And you don't want to walk on cement, concrete, because it doesn't have it in it, but in the manufacture of things like sidewalks and things, driveways, whatever, they put rebar in there, right? The steel bars for strengthening it. Otherwise, it's just going to crumble away at the first crack. So they've got rebar. And in Japan, they used a lot of it in the road surfaces and things because of earthquakes. So this way it gives it more strength, more tensile strength, more shear strength. Yeah, both. Nice house over there. Can you see that? See if I can help you out here a bit. Yeah, there we go. That's the owner. Let me lower this a bit. One more, maybe one more. Yeah, it's just so bright today, so beautiful. Yeah, look at that big Japanese house in there. Old style Japanese house. It's huge. And they own all this. They own all this farm out here. All out there. And they probably own this too. I'm gonna bet they own this too. And they gave it to the town. They donated it probably for a park. Because it's just weird how he would have all the land around it and not this. So I think he definitely, I say he, that's not right, is it? They, or she. In Japan, it actually is more likely to be a she, because, and here's another fun fact for you. In Japan, well, maybe this is not such a revelation, not such a newsflash. The women control the money. I don't mean in the government, I mean in the household. I'm not a married guy. I'm not married yet. Not yet. I haven't been grabbed yet. Almost, a couple times, but not yet. And all my male friends who are married always complain that the wife didn't give them enough allowance for the week, for the month. I'm like, what? What do you mean allowance? I'm like, what? And they go, yeah, I get an allowance. It's like, what are you, 10 years old? What do you mean allowance? He goes, oh yeah, I said, but wait a minute, you're the actual worker. You're going to the job. You're the salaried worker, and your wife, is your wife working? No, she's a housewife. She raises the kids. Well, wait a minute now. So she handles the money? But you're making it. Yeah, that's why I'm making it. I give it to her. I give her the whole thing. So she gets the whole thing. I ate the whole thing. She gets the whole thing. Now it's, it's deposited in the bank or whatever. Transfer, direct deposit, whatever. But still, she gets the whole thing, and from that, she pays the bills. She takes care of the children's education. She does all that stuff. And then she gives her husband, probably at the very end of it, an allowance for him to spend, maybe as he wishes, coffee, whatever, a night out with the boys, that kind of thing, as he wishes for the month. And when he runs out, he runs out. That's the key. It's not like, oh, you know what, can you give me another 2,000 yen? Because no, that you had your allowance. Now, see, you don't want to do this. You do not want to step on these guys. This is, for those of you, I think everybody knows what these are, right? These are chestnut, but the chestnut's inside that sucker. It's in there, and the crows know how to crack those open really well. They're so good at that. Squirrels, not so much. The crows are the experts at that. Karas, crow in Japanese, karas. Yeah, but those spiky balls, those tennis balls with spikes, they are sharp. And you step on that barefoot, it's going to ruin your day. It's going to ruin your day. It's just going to ruin my day. So when I was in Thailand, the very first time, I went there many times, the very first time, staying with my friend Rick Ravel, good old Ricker from college, staying there with him, and he was already an expert. He was already speaking the language. The guy's just amazing. And we went to this wonderful Thai restaurant. That's where you go when you're in Thailand. and I ordered some food, and I'm about to eat it. It's like a soup. I think it was green curry, actually. Green curry with all sorts of, it was sort of a soup curry, though. It was super hot. I mean, the weather was just, it was a shower. You were walking around in the shower. It was so humid. And I was just about to take a spoonful of this, and Rick stops me and says, oh, you don't want to eat that. And I'm like, what? When somebody tells you that, who's been in the area and you're in a foreign country, and you definitely want to listen to that. So I was like, what? Well, what do you mean? He goes, no, the soup's fine. You just don't want to eat that. And he pointed to this little tiny thing. Looked like a tiny little, jalapeno, not a jalapeno. Looked like Looked like a cockroach, actually. It did. It was reddish, dark reddish color, and burgundy, like a burgundy color. A nice color. And it was all crumpled up, all crinkled up. And it was small, quite small, much smaller than a pepper. And so I thought it was some sort of like a spice or something. He says, no, 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 don't eat that. And I'm like, oh, what is it? He says, and he said what it was. And it was a kind of pepper. He says, you know, you eat that, it's going to ruin your day. Your whole day is gone. I said, what? And one time I did by mistake eat one, and then I realized what he meant. I found out what he meant. I was in pain the whole day. I was literally in pain the whole day. Hey, there's somebody else in the park. I didn't see him come in. I was literally in pain the whole day. It was nothing I could do. Water did nothing. Milk, nothing. Yogurt, nothing. Coffee, tea, I tried to drink everything. Brushed my teeth about 1,000 times, nothing. Mouthwash, nothing. Nothing took it away. Some things made it worse. Water made it worse. Drinking water, and of course you're in Thailand, you need to drink water. So like stopping drinking water as your mouth is on fire, your throat is on fire, it's hard. Rice helped a little bit. See, that's what Thai would do. They would just eat rice. Remember, I was in a restaurant a long time ago when I was a kid. My parents, we were in a Chinese restaurant, and somebody started choking. It was bad. It was really bad. Finally, they got it. You know, they got it out and all. I think the chef came out, did the Heimlich, whatever. They were fine. And the waitress, or not the waitress, she was sort of maitre d', she was sort of the mother, you know. She wasn't excited at all. She never flinched. I mean, the place is like in a white-faced, shocking horror. You know, watching this, just like powerless. She was like going about. She was still working, still doing what she was doing. She wasn't counting the money, but you know, I want to say that, but she wasn't counting the money. But it was something like that. She was doing her job. And then afterwards, my mom was talking to her. She came over. My mom had that effect on people. They would just come over to her and talk to her, just out of the blue, out of the blue. My mom had the Jedi Force, for sure, more than anybody I've ever encountered in my whole life. My mom, and anybody who knows my mom, knew my mom. She's passed on now, rest in peace. Anybody who knew her knows exactly what I'm talking about. So you know I'm not bullshitting. Anyway, this lady came over and just started talking to us. Even sat down, I think, with us. And she's like, "Oh, we Chinese, we don't get upset about that." I was like, "Well, yeah, we just whenever we choke on something, we just eat more rice. We just eat more rice. Eat more rice. Eat more rice." So her solution to that was, you just keep, here's the hole, don't look at the hole, the donut. You just keep eating rice. The rice will clear it. Now, I'm not sure about that. I mean, the Chinese have a lot of wisdom, that's for sure. Tens of thousands of years of cultured history. Not living in caves, but cultured history. Writing history. But I'm not sure about that one. I don't think I want to shove rice or any food in my mouth, try to swallow it while I'm gagging on something. But then again, maybe she's right, I don't know. But the Heimlich seemed to be the trick. And as a weird simile, not really a simile actually, because it happened before this. So before this happened, my mom, I was a much younger kid, my mom started choking in a restaurant. It was sirloin, I'll never forget this, it was sirloin tips. She ordered sirloin tips, which were just, pieces of sirloin meat, delicious sirloin steak. But it's called sirloin tips, I remember that. Sirloin tips. She ordered it, and she loved that. Delicious. And she just stopped talking. She just started staring, and my sister was like, Mom, what's wrong? And my mom was one never to make a fuss. That was her big thing. Like, just don't make a fuss. So she's just staring at my sister, and she started turning blue. She was getting white and blue, literally. I saw it. And my sister Kathy, and Diane, my older sisters, my brother Michael, my younger sister Jenny. So the five of us. I'm the middle kid. And they all, pushed my mom out of the booth. We're in a booth, and then started to, call for help and all this stuff, just, and my mom's standing up. My dad's trying to free it. He's doing the Heimlich. He's trying to free it. It's not working. The waitress runs over. The cook, I think it was the cook or the manager, I think it was the cook, ran out of the kitchen and was doing the Heimlich. They're all doing it. Nothing's working. And finally, not finally, but at one point, the manager or whatever says, "Oh, we can't, it's stuck in there, we can't get it." And stops. The guy stops. He actually stops trying to save my mom. She's still standing, right? It's not like, okay, let's call it, it's not like that where they do that in the TV shows. Okay, we're going to call it, after they've tried to revive someone for 10 minutes and they realize that the brain, there's too much brain damage at this point. I first of all, just to digress, I never agreed with that. I always thought that was silly. Like, okay, let's call it. Why are you in such a hurry to terminate this life? Like, okay, keep trying. Why don't you just keep trying until, let's say, like a half an hour passes? Why do you call it after like 3 minutes? I don't get that. Anyway, they were like that. They were like, oh, there's nothing we can do. She's standing. She's still standing. Like, white, blue in the face. And she was making this gurgling sound. She tried to talk and she couldn't make it sound. It was a gurgling. I'll never forget it. It's traumatic for me. Very traumatic. And of course, my dad, he pushed us kids out of the way so we weren't seeing. So I didn't really see much. They were kind of shielding us from this, which in a way was worse because I was thinking, I want to see. But I'm kind of glad he did. I'm glad he did that actually because I don't want the image in my head. But I remember, a lot of it. But I didn't see like the really hardcore stuff of them really trying to get it out and the Heimlich. I didn't see that. Anyway, so we were kind of like to the side. Us the little kids were to the side. Me, my younger sister, younger brother were to the side, sort of a little bit. I think the waitress might have been guarding us, something like that, And I think the restaurant was Hanover Trails, might have been Hanover Trails, one of these kinds of, it was in East Hanover, New Jersey. Anyway, my sister. So the manager tried it, the waiter tried it, the waitress tried it, the chef, the cook tried it, my dad tried it, everybody tried the Heimlich, nothing. My sister, Kathy, who, can be a bit rough. It can be a bit, heavy with the footfalls and a little bit slamming doors, My sister can be pretty rough. Well, thank God she is. It's almost like the movie Signs, right? Thank God she has that trait, right? Because she's rough, she doesn't pussyfoot around, literally. Like I said, the footfalls. She did the Heimlich and boom, it comes up. The piece comes up and my mom coughs it out. She's saved. My sister did that. My sister, Kathy, did that. Kathy or Diane, I'm not sure. I think it was Kathy, but it could have been Diane too. I think I'm sure they both did it. They both tried. My sisters are very, they don't bullshit. They get right to it. They're both hugely successful. Unlike me, they're hugely successful. So I think, I should have taken a page from their book, but I didn't. But anyway, yeah, so they did it. They saved my mom. And she was just gagging on this piece of sirloin. So I've never had sirloin tips to this day. I've never ordered that. And I've had steak. We've all had steak where you get that piece, that long piece of like fat or whatever. It's like a string. It's like a cord, almost like a fishing line. It's like a fishing line, or guitar string thickness, but it won't break, right? It won't break. And you got one piece of meat at one end of it, another piece of meat at the other end, and one piece is in your throat, going down the wrong way maybe, and it won't go. It's stuck. And this thing's stuck. And this cord is not breaking. And you have no way to break it because it's now in your throat. Like, it's not like you can pull, with your hands or your tongue. It's too far down. And it's blocking the air pathway. That's basically what happened to my mom. We've all been there where we've chewed on meat like that and a piece starts to go down and we're not quite ready for it because the other piece is still in our mouth and it's got this string connected and you're like, oh, and you cough up the part that went down already. Well, that part that went down, went down too far for my mom to cough up. It just, not to get too gross, but it was stuck in there. And see, that's so like the movie Signs where the son always swung, even though he struck out. He was the strikeout king. He hit these incredible home runs as a baseball player in high school, but he struck out all the time. He was the strikeout king because he always swung the bat. And he said it just feels right. It just feels like we're natural. It just feels like I should do that. And the sister, the younger sister, would leave glasses of water all over the house. She'd get a glass of water, and then she'd leave it somewhere, half full, then she'd get another glass, leave it somewhere else. So all throughout the living room, the dining room, the bedrooms, there were always glasses of water around because of this sister with her annoying habit that her father, Mel Gibson, kept yelling at her about. And Joaquin Phoenix, who was the son, baseball player, was mocked because he didn't get to college. He couldn't get a scholarship because his baseball prowess, as great as it was, with his home runs, he was a strikeout king. He was the strikeout king of the school's history. He had the school record for strikeout king, even though he also had the school record for home runs or something like that, for distance or something. So he was a great hitter when he hit, but he missed a lot because he swung. He always swung. So I won't spoil the movie for you if you've never seen the movie, but those two things are crucial. They're absolutely indispensable for how humanity is saved. So those two things from this little family living in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong lived and made his movies from, in the movie Signs, this farm right there, maybe near New Hope or someplace like that, like I was talking about before, because these two had these characteristics, like my sister having this characteristic of being heavy with her footfalls and too rough when she would close doors or open doors or slam drawers. She was always rough. She probably still is. My parents were always bugging her about, stop, what's with you? Show a little grace. Well, see, if she had that grace, if she was dainty, she may not have saved my mom. Chances are she probably wouldn't have. She would have been hesitant to just let all her energy out in her actions, which is what she did, which saved my mom. So they're just like the movie, those two things, leaving the glasses of water around and swinging the baseball bat, saved the earth. So you never know the importance of the small things that may be annoying you, right? Like the water and the baseball strikeouts and my sister's roughness. I want to say it wasn't clumsiness. She wasn't clumsy. She's just rough. She's far from clumsy. She's just rough. But yeah, her roughness for sure. So these things which are negative, we think of as negative, right? Because we're comparing them to other people. On their own, we may not think it's negative. We may not even know. But see, we compare it to somebody else. And so in comparison, her closing a door is noisy compared to somebody else closing the same door. Her walking down the hallway is noisy compared to somebody else walking down. So we're comparing. Once again, we're comparing. And just like that view over there, like I said, it used to be all tree and now it's cut down. I'm comparing. So I think it's important that we don't do that. I think it's important that we try to get away from that mindset of comparing, which I said before is like automatic. For me, it's automatic. I just, boom. In fact, I can, not to brag, but I can walk down a street, a pathway, anywhere. Walk anywhere. Let's just say a street. Walk down a street, city street, a town street. If they cut one tree, I don't mean cut down, I mean just cut branches, pruned. If they pruned one tree on this street, a street full of trees, if just one of them is pruned, even a little bit, I will notice right away. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? I will notice right away. I'll say, oh, and I won't say, oh, they pruned the tree. I won't say that. I will say, something's different. Something's different. That's what I'll say to myself. Something's different. Or I'll say it out loud and get stared at. So, something's different. I'll immediately notice. It's uncanny how I can do this. I don't know how I do it. I have a very strong, extremely strong visual memory. I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm an artist, but I draw, I do stuff like that. I paint, sketch, film. So I'm a visual guy. What was the old joke they used to say in Hollywood was for the young filmmakers? He has a very strong visual sense, right? They used to say that when the new crop of filmmakers came out after film school, after post George Lucas, when film school became popular again, and they were pumping out all these filmmakers in the 80s and 90s. And they used to say, yeah, he has a very strong visual sense when they would describe a director. And what that meant in agent speak, that's agent speak, right? It's agent speak or producer speak. He's a very strong visual. You got this new director, Jim Sharkey. He just graduated USC. He's got a very strong visual sense. That's how they would describe something like that. And that translates meaning he can't write. That's what that means. So if you're in the business and you hear a producer or an agent or somebody else who's promoting, right? Somebody who's not an artistic person, but a promoter of some kind, a producer, an agent, describing somebody like that on the creative team, he's got a very strong visual sense. That means he can't write. That means you need a good writer because he can't write. Whereas a lot of directors can write. A lot of directors actually start out as writers. So, this is a negative thing. It's a negative. The fact that he can't write means he's going to need help. So but they say it like that. Isn't that funny? Very strong. So I have a very strong visual sense, but I can write actually. I'm pretty good at writing. Pretty good. So I wouldn't know what it was right away, but I would definitely know something had happened. Something changed. Changes. Difference. Comparison. These are all connected up today. Isn't that great? I see how you did that. I'm not even sure how I did that. But I did it. I did it. So we're going to end it here. We're going to finish this up. I hope the audio is good. I didn't use the mic today. I just used the phone. As you can see, I'm not on the stabilizer. So we're hoping that it's not too bad. And thanks for listening to my didactic, is that word didactic? Pontificating presentation. Didactic. And hope you have a great day. Did I go down this way? I think I did. Yeah, I did. I went down this way. But I didn't go all the way. So let's go all the way. All like Sinatra's things. All the way. When somebody loves you, right? When somebody loves you. Oh, by the way, these are, I think these are, no, what are these? They're not Mikan. I thought they were Mikan. They're not. Oh, they're Kaki. That's what they are. That's why they're so nasty looking, because they're from the fall, last fall. Wow, they're still here? Yeah, these are Kaki. When somebody loves you, it's no good unless she loves you. All the way through the good or lean years and all those in between years. Come what may, who knows where the road will lead us? Only a fool could say. But if somebody loves you, it's no good unless she loves you. All the way, all the way. Yay! How was that? Pretty good, huh? Not too bad. It's much better in the shower, though. Okay, yeah. It's one of my parents' favorite Sinatras. They had the record. I forget what record that's on, but it's on one of their many records, Sinatra records. But I used to love that song particularly, and I remember I learned it. When I went back to college, back to school after, yeah, it was spring term. So it was my first year, 89-90, and it was spring term. So now it's in the spring, right? We're back after the holidays, and I serenaded a girl with that. I did a breaking away. I serenaded a girl in her dorm room. She was leaning out her dorm room window, Mary Lyon, on the 3rd floor, and I was serenading her with that song from the quad there, and she loved it. She loved it. It worked out pretty well too, but we had our run at it. There you go. Kong Ping King, wherever you are. She lived in Arlington, Massachusetts. I remember that, because Arlington had a great movie theater. I hope it's still there. The Arlington Cinema, or Arlington Theater, and it showed great movies. I saw some great flicks there. Lawrence of Arabia I saw there. I think I saw Dr. Strangelove there. I saw a bunch, and the theater owner was a huge cinephile, movie lover, movie buff, and he would come out on stage. They had a stage too. He would come out on stage and talk about the movie ahead of the movie. And then after the movie, he would come out again. He would take questions, because he was a real maven on movies, so he could answer a lot of questions. He wasn't the filmmaker, but he was the guy who ran the place. And that's exactly what I would do if I had a movie theater. When I have a movie theater of my own, I will go out on stage and I will take questions from people, do my best to answer them, give them a little bit of trivia maybe. Never before the movie. I would never do that before the movie, and he didn't either. Do it after. Yeah, you don't want to what's the word? You don't want to prime people for certain things in a movie before they watch it. You never want to do that. Don't get me started. You never want to do that. They're called spoilers for a reason. Okay, they spoil the effect. They spoil the magic. It's like going to see a magic show. Why would you see a magic show if if the magician tells you ahead of time how he does it? Now, at the Penn and Teller, I think they tell you after, right? They're not like Columbo. They tell you after they did the trick. I think. I don't really care for their magic, so I don't know, or their illusions. I don't know, but I would never go see a magician who told me how it was done, either before or after. I don't want to know. I want to have the magic. That's why I'm going. I want to be fooled. I want to be hoodwinked. I want to be nonplussed. So anyway, if I had a movie theater, when I have a movie theater, many movie theaters of my own, many cinemas, I will do that. I will get out on stage, and I will talk about the film, talk about the filmmakers, and then I will present the film, and then afterwards, like I said, share some trivia, share some, not goofs. I don't like talking about film goofs, to be honest, too much, because there again, it ruins it for the next time you watch it, if you know about a goof. The only goof I only like one goof. Should I say it? Maybe not. But there's only one goof I like, and it's in a Hitchcock movie. It's not Hitchcock walking in the scene. That's not a goof. That's actually more trivia than anything. Yeah, it's actually a goof. It's a mistake. It's a problem. It's not an airplane in the distance either. Right? It's nothing like that. But it's hilarious. It's a hilarious goof. So that's the only one I like. But I won't have truck. I won't have truck with any other goofs. Talk of goofs. All right, it's all business. No Mickey Mouse operation. Okay, we'll end it there. Have a great day, everybody. I'm sitting down, taking a rest. Woo, my aching feet. I think we got our share of magnetic field today. Ooh, I can feel it. So yeah, come back. See you next time. Cheers from Tokyo.